Man, what a beautiful day it is here in southwest Missouri. It doesn't feel at all like wintertime, but we are still a ways from our average last frost date. Today is March 27th. I'm in zone 6B, southwest Missouri, and our average last frost date is April 15th. I usually give it another couple of weeks after that before I put tomatoes in the ground and peppers and all those heat-loving plants, but I'm going to go ahead and plant all my tomatoes and peppers in the ground today rather than starting them in the house like you normally would. I'm going to take you along and show you how I do it. Hey guys, welcome back to another Slightly Rednecked video. Again, my name's Chris, and if you're not familiar with this channel, I help you to produce your own meat, eggs, and vegetables from your backyard, your balcony, deck, or garage, or even a spare room in your house if that's the way you want to do it. Today we're working on winter sowing some peppers and tomatoes. Now, you may have seen winter sowing before. I've never seen anybody that does it quite the way I do, and I don't mean that like I'm so innovative or anything like that. But generally, what people do with winter sowing is about 6 to 8 weeks before your last frost date, the same time you would start your plants indoors if you were starting seedlings indoors, is you start your plants outside, but you do it in little miniature greenhouses. And I've got a couple of different styles I'm using today. What I'm starting with are these big cheese ball containers. We have about 5 or 6 of them, 4 or 5 of those, I think, 4 of them. So I've got these. I'm going to try these out. I've never used these before, but I think the concept should work pretty well. What most people do is they use a milk jug, and I'll show you those here in a minute because I've got some of those. You cut it to where it's hinged open, leave the top off, pack the bottom with soil, put seeds in it, and go ahead and start them that way. You just set them out, and they'll start whenever they're ready to start, and you don't have to harden them off. You just transplant them into the garden. Well, last year I kind of had an idea. I thought, what is it? Dogs barking behind me, sorry, I got distracted. But last year I had the idea that, why couldn't you just start them right in the ground that way? Instead of putting dirt in the bottom of the container, putting your seeds in it, just plant your seeds straight in the ground, cut a hole in the bottom of the container, and use it like a little greenhouse over the top of them. So I tried it out. It worked fantastic. The only problem I had last year, I started them too early. I started them in early March, and by the time we got to second week of May or so, before it was time to uncover them, they were growing out the tops of them. They were getting leggy, and so I'm starting them a little bit later. This is like the last week of March. I would do it next weekend, but next weekend is Easter and all kinds of things going on there. So pretty simple concept. I don't know if you can see this or not, but I'll show you up close here in a minute. I've got a hole cut in the lid. I've got a hole cut in the top. I just drilled a hole in the top, about a 1-inch hole, so it can get ventilation, so it can get moisture in, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to plant my seed in there, and then I've got this stapled down with a couple of garden staples. And I'm going to be sticking this on top of there and fasten it down in the lid. I think that'll be enough to hold it here when I don't think the wind will blow it off here. It worked really well with my milk jugs last year, but they weren't, it wasn't just a lid holding them. So I'm testing these out. We're going to see. I don't have enough of them, so we'll go to milk jugs here in just a minute. But pretty easy. Let's see. Where's my tomato seed? I've got several. Those have not been opened yet. That's summer squash. I don't want that yet. All right. So we're going to start with some Amish paste tomatoes. These are my favorite paste tomato. Great for canning. So I'll be planting several of these. Let me get the package open. I've got these neoprene gloves on just so I can kind of keep the dirt out from underneath my fingernails and that kind of stuff. Keep my hands a little bit cleaner. Make it a little bit easier to clean up in the end. So this is very similar to how you would do it any other way. I'm going to take 3 seeds. I'm going to rough the dirt up here, get a spot for my seeds to go. And again, you don't all want to plant tomatoes or anything really very deep at all. So we got 3 seeds that go in, and we're just going to cover them up with a little bit of dirt. And all I've done to this ground to amend it is I added some rabbit manure and some compost over the top, and that's it. So there we go. And then the lid goes right on top. I've got to get it situated so it actually clips on. Yep, I think we're good. We're going to see how well that holds up. I don't think a strong wind is going to blow that off there, but I may have to come back and change it out with a milk jug or something like that. My hope is that this clear plastic, it may get too hot. I don't know. We're going to find out. But last year when I used milk jugs, they were translucent, and I did get a little bit of legginess in my plants, but like I said, I planted them awful early. They were getting really tall before I took the milk jugs off of them. So I'm hoping this clear plastic will allow them to get more light so they won't be nearly as leggy. That's my plan anyway. We're going to see how well that works. So on to the next one. All right, so I'll show you this one kind of from the start. So again, all I did was cut a hole in it. I just used my pocket knife to cut a hole in the lid. So I'm gonna take this lid off, set it down over that, get a couple of garden staples here, and staple this to the ground so I don't have to worry about it falling over in a wind or anything like that. The tricky part about stapling this down is not deforming the lid too much so that the container still fits back on there just fine. And then again, stir up this dirt a little bit so I got a place to plant my seeds. There we go, there's 3 seeds. I'll put 3 seeds in to make sure I get good germination, and then just cover them up just a little bit. They don't need a whole lot of cover on them. And then my little greenhouse goes right back on top. We're on there. So let me get the other 2. I've got 2 more of these big jugs like this. Let me get them planted. Those are going to be Amish paste as well. Then we'll come back and we'll show you kind of what the milk jug looks like. It's a little bit different, but same concept, just a little bit different. I'll show you. Give me just a minute. I'll be right back. All right, so this isn't a milk jug, but it's the same concept. I think this was vegetable oil or something like that, but same concept. So what I've done is I've just cut around the side, left a hinge so I can open it up, take it off, open it up pretty easily. I've got a square cut in the bottom that's going to go over the hole so the plant can grow up through the middle of that. So I'm going to go ahead and put some seeds in before I staple this down. You can do it either way. I just find it a little bit easier to work without that in the way. A little windy out today. Things are trying to blow away on me. Too much seed. All right, and then try to get some staples down through this plastic. This may be tricky here, I don't know. It's hard to get a hammer in there. There we go, broke through on that one. And one more on the other side to hold it in place. Might be able to get it with one staple, I don't know. Just push it all down, and then I need to hold this closed. So what I'm going to be using is some duct tape here. You could use, I don't know if I'm in camera or not, I can't tell, but hopefully I am. If not, you can hear me talking. You can use all kinds of tape, honestly. It doesn't have to be duct tape. I got oil on my hands from here. I need to take the gloves off because they're all oily and the tape's not sticking to it. Big old piece of duct tape here. Just kind of doesn't have to be super airtight. I just want it held together. And that should be plenty to hold it all together. Good to go. Milk jugs work the exact same way. I've got a couple of those, but it's the same concept, so I don't think you need to see that. Let me get some more tomatoes planted here. We'll come back with you and talk to you about a few more things here real quick. Oh, I also got a vinegar jug that's done the same way. So no reason to waste all that stuff. Just hang on to it. The only bad part about this is really storing all this stuff up during the summer or the winter time when I'm not using it, the rest of the summer when I'm not using it, because takes up a lot of room. But luckily we have a recycle center not too far from here, and if I run out, if I don't want to save all these, I can always go down there and pick up milk jugs for free. It doesn't cost me anything. I can get as many as I want. So I did save these though. Bigger jugs I think are going to work better for these tomatoes. Let them get a little bit bigger before I have to take the tops of them off, and then I'll use the milk jugs and stuff for the peppers that don't get quite as big. So anyway, let me get some of this stuff planted and I'll come back and talk to you a little bit more about this. Well, I'm pretty much all done now. I ran out of staples, so I'm gonna have to go get some more garden staples to staple down the, oh, I don't know, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more little greenhouse things to put on. But this is it. This is my winter sowing. So this is all tomatoes. Down at the end is all Amish paste canning tomatoes. I've got 2 mortgage lifter reds, which are a slicing tomato, and then 1 cherry tomato, and that's that single row. When it goes here, I've got, let's see, these are all jalapenos. I've got 8 jalapeno plants going, 2 poblanos over there, 2 cayennes over here, 2 habaneros right there. And I've got the greenhouses made. I've just got to go get some more staples to staple them down. But got to tell you, this method has worked very well for me. I've only used it 1 year, granted, but I'm going to try it again this year. I have all the confidence in the world. It just worked fantastic last year. Now, last year I didn't do any watering, not until it was time to take the greenhouses off, and I was watering everything else anyway. I didn't do any watering for the seeds, and they just started up. I mean, right now is the rainy season for us, so we're getting rain every couple of days, and that was plenty to get them going. If you do need to water them, I mean, you've got the lids off, you can just come by and dump some water in there if you need to. But really, these should come up in the next couple of days. Today is really warm. I mean, I think we're like 70 degrees right now, but it's supposed to get cool again. Next week down in the 50s, down in the 40s, and the same thing happened last year, and they just did fantastic. They made it through all of that. The only thing I'm going to watch those ones that are clear down there at the end. I don't know if that's going to get too hot or not. We're going to see how well they do compared to everything else, but I'll keep you guys updated as the season progresses. So we've got about, like I said, about 6-8 weeks before I'm going to be removing these greenhouses. Hopefully these plants are that tall or so by then. And this is great because I don't have to harden them off. I don't have to transplant them. I just pull the greenhouse off and they're growing. That's it. So I haven't tried it with the peppers. This will be the first year trying it with the peppers, but like I said, I tried it with tomatoes last year. It worked out fantastic. So I highly recommend it. Anyway, I'll try to remember to come back to this video as the season progresses and link to the next videos when I'm talking about how well they've done. You'll be able to see that. So anyway, I guess that's it for today's video. This is my winter sowing technique. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. And as always, God bless.